I'm going to do a shop update here, and it's going to start out with me showing you another drain grate that I had to build. Now this grating is different from the other ones that I made. The other one's laid into a trench on shelves, and this one was just like a trough, a circular, half-circular trough in the floor, so it was different. But the video is going to start out with me referencing another video where I cut some metal, and that was part of the bandsaw video where I had cut a piece of metal, just so that you know. And it kind of, when I looked at it, kind of brought to light that I will do that sometimes, reference other videos or things, and you might not know where it is. And if you guys need to know, just leave a comment, and I will pick up the reference video for that and leave you a link to that in the comments. With that being said, one of the things that I want to talk about is I do a lot of things by the seat of my pants or under the gun. When I worked, some of my best work was done under pressure, and I kind of adapt that same approach, not knowingly or willingly, but to making videos of things. I will shoot a lot of videos and not have them pre-planned. You're kind of seeing me doing things as they work out, just doing things, and I have no pre-plan or didn't think them out beforehand. So like on the bandsaw, when I was doing the electric, discussing the wiring for the switch on the electric, you will see me pause a lot of times, and that's because, you know, I'm having an epiphany or something is coming to it. It all becomes clear at a certain point in time. So I might stop talking. But anyways, just so that you know that, it happens a lot. One of the things I'm going to do is throw out into the shop update is throw the unboxing of the gimbal, and it kind of ends by me saying, well, I'm going to look up in the directions. Well, and it will not conclude. Well, it concluded in another video when another shop update video when I told you that I first started using the gimbal and about the directions. There were no directions included with it. So it looks like this video ends in the middle of me saying something, but it was actually followed up in another video. So if you guys are ever confused about me saying something or don't understand it, just leave a comment and I will make sure it gets detailed. Okay, so when I said the other day that I had, in another clip of the video, I had to go to the metal warehouse, what I had to do was get down and get some plate steel. We have somebody, the landlord has somebody that's taken this area. And as some of you might know, I've been making drains for him, or drain covers, trench drains. Now, this one is totally different. What it is just a little trench. Looks like it was formed out of a piece of pipe and then poured around it. What it does is it tapers from the front, from nothing, and it pitches down, and as the pipe is only lowered in it, logically it's narrower at the front, and the deeper it goes, the wider it gets. So it started out in the back. It's about 7 inches wide. So what I did is, over here there's a little, that fresh concrete, that's where the end of the drain pipe is actually. And the rest of this is just that trench. And what I did is I put a piece of, a short piece of plate with a finger hole in it, because he is going to put something over the end of that pipe to keep debris from going down into the pipe. So it's kind of like a cleanout plate. And then this is 1/4-inch plate. I had him shear this piece. It's 7 inches wide to begin with. And then this is regular 6-inch, 1/4-inch by 6-inch plate steel, 8 foot long, and it sits in there. And then out here, I should probably mention the guy that's moving in here is a car detailer. So he's going to be washing cars out here. So originally the thought was to use plate and drill it, but man, you'd be spending forever drilling holes in that plate. So what I've done is taken a piece of expanded metal. Now, the cars, because this trench is kind of, it's not centered in the door, but it's close enough to centered where you're not going to be running tires over it. It's going to be, the car is going to be straddling it. The truck is going to be straddling it. So he wanted holes in the plate or something to drain, so I was just going to use expanded metal. What I did is tack welded some pieces on there just to keep it stiff so that you could stand on it and it wouldn't bend down into the trench. And I'm going to go out and get another piece of it to fill in that. And then up at the beginning, I think we're just going to leave it. You know, I can't, there's no way I could fill in that little thing and keep it to stay there, get it to stay there. But anyways, that's the other thing that I've been kind of doing this week, is trying to get this in there. It's kind of hard to fit it in there because there's no ledges or edges on the side. It's just a curved surface, so you're trying to set the plate in there, and sometimes if it doesn't fit exactly right, because when they poured it, there's little variations in it, in the width of it. So it's hard to get it to set in there straight. Okay, so this is the shop next door and where I made that grating for the little trough inside of the, in the middle of the bay. Now, up here, the trough is so small that you really can't put anything in it, and it's not a tripping hazard. What the issue is the guy is going to be detailing cars in here, and he wants to be able to roll like a mechanic stool, mechanic seat around, so when he's detailing cars. So I'm not really sure, can't really, it's getting to the point where it's so small that it doesn't really even fit in there. You could probably set something in the bottom of it, might even just fill the thing in, actually. But anyways, here's the rest of it. So it's expanded metal up here so that the water runs into it from where he washes. Back here, it'll probably run down beside the plate. If it becomes an issue where it doesn't, what I will do is just come over here and drill some holes in it. Not a lot of holes like they were originally thinking, but just some holes. So if the water does set on top of the plate, I will drill the holes so it goes down through. But anyways, there it is, done. I'm not sure if he wants it painted. I'll have to talk to the landlord when he gets back, but it's complete. Okay, so what I did is I got a gimbal off of eBay for my GoPro cameras, and If you don't know what a gimbal is it holds the camera steady. You can move around, and what it does is it's got like gyros in it, and it holds the camera steady. So whatever you're pointing at, it doesn't bounce around like probably this video is doing with me doing it with a handheld camera. I'm got to read the instructions and everything. The first thing that I noticed is when I picked the gimbal up, there's an adapter there, which looks like the same pin adapter that's in the back of a GoPro, but I see a cord that has got like USB to that small USB for the thing. I don't see a large one or a small to small for the camera. There was two of these little things included. No idea what they are unless it goes into that small port. There is a small port on the GoPro. So on the GoPro 4, let me, sorry for the confusion. Let me just grab it here and I'll show you. See that top port is a small port. I'm not sure if that thing, does that thing fit into it? No, couldn't. Maybe it does though. No. Let me read the instructions, figure out what's going on. One of the things that I just picked up was a cordless grinder, angle grinder. I haven't even used it yet, so I will do a review on it just to let you know how it works. What happened is one of my angle grinders bit the bullet, and I had to replace it, so I decided to try and get a cordless one. It's kind of a pain in the butt to have the cords in your way or be working on something that's not near a outlet and you have to run an extension cord and stuff. Let me talk about the bandsaw as I'm taking you around and showing you. I'm going to start working on moving this stuff out to get the bandsaw in here probably within the next week. I'm going to be having to get a lift in here, run some electric over for the bandsaw. One of the things that I'm going to be, the next clip that's going to be coming up is wiring on the bandsaw, and I'm going to do this as part of a shop update instead of a bandsaw segment part. I'm going to have a series on cleaning up and painting and getting the bandsaw up and running, but I'm going to include the wiring in on the this shop update, and you're going to see part of the bandsaw thing was that the switch wouldn't work, and that's what I'm going to be discussing next. Okay, so we're back on the bandsaw. The switch that I had talked about in the previous video, that 4-inch junction box on the side of it, and then is kind of, I had alluded to or guessed, the switch isn't powered, and this is what I've got. It came over here and it was all taped up together, and I had never noticed it, tell you the truth. Let me show you what I've got right here. Go to the switch. This group of wires comes off the 110 side and feed back through that conduit. So the switch wires come in, feed into the conduit. A 110 supply comes off of here and goes back into the conduit. And these two wires are the feed for the transformer. So then it goes through the conduit and it comes into this. And this is those wires that are coming through that conduit. Now, this has a 1/2-inch connector onto it, but this box here on the side of the motor doesn't have it. And then the power cord comes into this flexible plastic conduit and it gets fed into it. So here's my assumption. Why this isn't, it looked like it went into a box and somebody just fed that power cord in through that thing. This thing looks like it went into a box also. Here's kind of what I'm guessing. I'm guessing that there was a power box, a power supply that came in, a power supply that fed the transformer, I don't, not sure why they had a 110 supply coming back from here on the hot side. There's a plug underneath that on the transformer, and I'm assuming that's what fed the sump pump in the coolant tray. But what I'm getting at is, here's what I'm thinking. There was a box that had a relay in it, and a power supply came into it and had a relay in it, and there was a 110 supply. Now it could have been that 110 supply that came back from the transformer, but how would they have powered that transformer to begin with? Because it looks like it's only got 2 wires going to the transformer, so I'm assuming it's 110. But anyways, I'm assuming there was a relay box. There was a box, had a relay in it, probably had an on-off switch, a relay in it, and the relay fed that switch, that on-off switch to it. So you had a 110 supply going to the relay. I'm sorry, going to the switch from the relay, and the relay kicked out the 223 phase. So what am I gonna do? For right now, what I'm probably gonna do is provide an on-off switch, a throw switch, or maybe a push button switch, and it's not gonna be over there. It's gonna be a 223 phase switch that will kill the power to the bandsaw, and then I'm going to arrange it so that if I can come up with a relay in an acceptable method of mounting that relay close to it, I'm going to leave that switch that's on the bandsaw there, and if at some point in time I can come up with a relay to kill the power to it when that when the bandsaw bar goes down and cuts it off, I'm going to use that. But for right now, what I'm going to do is put it in that location that I had talked about, and just have a throw switch for shutting the bandsaw, or turning the bandsaw on and shutting it off. And then again, when I come up with an alternative method to incorporate that switch, that on-off switch, when the drawbar drops down, I will do that. So during the previous clip, I said I didn't realize or didn't know why they had a 110 supply coming back. I kind of, when I was driving home that night, I kind of thought, I bet you any amount of money that that plug underneath there, they have the 2 wires coming off that plug, or the feed for that plug, they have 2 wires coming back so that they could have had a on-off button on the panel that held the relay, held the main power disconnect, held the 110 supply. They had a button on it that they could turn the that plug off, which in turn would depower the cooling pump or the sump pump for the oil.